Okay, so a report just came out that Deshaun Watson's preferred destination is the Jets, and then his second preferred destination is the Dolphins. We don't have the full list yet, or like what teams he would be willing to go to, but this is really big news because now that we know that the Jets are, if the rumor or report is true, that if the Jets are his main team he wants to go to, the Jets definitely are one of the teams that have enough assets to be able to do it. I mean, they got 2 picks from the Jamal Adams trade. They've got a really high pick this year. They've got enough picks to be able to form a trade to get Watson, and then they can throw in Sam Darnold to get the Texans another quarterback. But this, I feel like, would be a really good trade for the Texans because, you get a quarterback who you can try to develop, but you get enough picks where you could get a guy if you want or whatever because they just don't have enough picks as it is right now. But you could get a ton of picks and they would be good picks if you trade Watson. And like we'll go over the few other teams that have like odds to get him and like which ones would probably be best. So yeah, the Jets are probably the most likely team to get him now. And honestly, the Dolphins, I would rather just keep Tua in my picks. I know Watson's probably going to end up being substantially better than Tua, but if you forgot, Tua when he was going into the draft was like the guy before he got hurt. He was the guy everyone wanted. I mean, now people criticize him for not being super mobile, but he's still pretty mobile, but not like crazy mobile. And then not being like throwing the ball far enough. Like if before he got hurt, he was like the clear cut guy. I mean, if Burrow had we'll say Burrow still has the crazy season, and if Tua would have played out that year, it would have been like one of those big debates over who goes one, who goes two, just like the Jared Goff, Carson Wentz year. But I feel like Burrow and Tua will both be better than both of those guys. So I feel like that this is um, good for the Dolphins to almost better not to get him because if I'd just get Tua some weapons and maybe another offensive lineman in the draft. You've got 2 high picks, you'll be set. And if Tua doesn't work out, I mean, I think he's going to work out 100%. I feel like Tua is going to be a really good NFL quarterback. I don't know if he'll ever be like a superstar quarterback, but I feel like he'll be a really good quarterback. So I think you're fine with just keeping Tua in your picks instead of trading like 3 first and Tua just to get Watson. I would rather just keep my picks in Tua. Next, we've got the Bears. The Bears would be a really good team for him to go to if this is the big if Allen Robinson comes back. If Allen Robinson was willing to come back, this would probably be one of his best destinations. He's got a great defense, have a pretty good offense except quarterback. But if Allen Robinson goes, their wide receiver core is going to be below average. But it'll be like above average wide receiver core if Allen Robinson comes back. Allen Robinson, I think, is the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. He puts up great stats and everything with having, at best, a mediocre quarterback. I mean, he's had Blake Bortles and Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. Deshaun Watson would be a major, major improvement over those guys. And the Bears just need to get a new quarterback. I know Trubisky led them to the playoffs or whatever, but Trubisky's never going to lead that team to a Super Bowl unless they're literally stacked at every other position. Or Trubisky has some big jump. But the current Trubisky is never leading that Bears team to a Super Bowl. So either they need to get like a guy like a Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, or just go all in and get Deshaun Watson. But I don't know if they have enough picks to be able to do something like that. A bunch of people think New England would be a good destination. I just don't see New England doing that. I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a New England move to trade like 4 picks for a quarterback. I feel like they're just going to try to get somebody like through the draft or some young guy via free agency and develop him. And next, my Broncos. I really wish Denver would get Watson, but I don't want to give up like 3 or 4 picks plus 2 good young players because that seems like a lot. Especially if we can get one of these like top 4 quarterbacks. That's the one thing. If one of those, if where Denver's picking right now, if one of the top four quarterbacks, I know Lawrence isn't going to fall, but if Fields, Wilson, or Trey Lance is there at 4, I really hope Denver takes one of them. And if none of them fall, then you just take a corner. But I feel like Drew Lock could be a solid NFL quarterback. I feel like he could be a top 15 NFL quarterback at his best. But I would rather Denver get one of those elite superstar quarterbacks because it's just easier to win with a guy like that. Let's look at the top 4 teams left in the playoff. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the AFC. Arguably 2 of the top 4 or 5, or whoever you consider. They're arguably the top 2. Them 2 and Watson are probably the best 3 quarterbacks in the AFC. And 2 of them are in the AFC Championship game, and one is on a horrible team, and that's the only reason he's not in MVP discussions at all. And then the NFC. Tom Brady, most people's GOAT, and then Aaron Rodgers, who's, I think, the best quarterback in the NFL right now. So you need that superstar guy. I mean, a Jared Goff or a Mitchell Trubisky, if you've got a great defense, they can lead you to a playoff game. Or, I guess Goff led them to a Super Bowl. But I don't think you're going to win unless you're literally stacked at every other position with just a mediocre quarterback. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo led that 49ers, but that 49ers defense was amazing. And the only reason why they weren't in the playoffs this year, or at least more in the hunt, was because they had a ton of injuries. And I know Jimmy Garoppolo was injured, but I just don't think he's the answer. I feel like New England is going to get Jimmy G back. So I hope Denver takes one of those top 4 quarterbacks. But I do not want them to take it. Now, maybe if Mac Jones could somehow fall to the 2nd, or if they trade up later or if they trade down in the 1st to 20s and then get Mac Jones, if he falls to there, I'll be fine with it. But I hope they don't take Mac Jones that early, and I don't believe in Kyle Trask. I won't waste a pick on him unless it's 6th or 7th round and we haven't drafted a quarterback. Then I guess just draft him or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't. There's only 5 quarterbacks I think worth drafting high, at least in the 1st round in this draft. Then Washington, honestly, I think they should just stick with Taylor Heineke. I mean, you see the draft ticket auto right here, which was a card I had in my collection, but up until the Washington game, that card you could probably get for $2 or $3. Now it's, I don't know how much, but it's went up for sure. I just try to stick with Heineke. I mean, he looked good. He's not a super old quarterback. I mean, he's in his 20s. Just give him another year. You only saw him play in one game, and he played great in that game. I'd just give him another year. Or I would sign a competent backup, though. That is what I will say. I don't know, maybe a Fitzpatrick or something. Somebody that if Heineke was just a one-game wonder, you'll have a guy who can play. Just get Alex Smith back. That would be the perfect situation. Just get Alex Smith back, play Heineke, and if Heineke looks bad, just play Alex Smith again, because at least you know you're getting good quarterback play out of Alex Smith. But Heineke, he looked good. I'd give him another chance. The 49ers would love Watson, and that would instantly put them into... I feel like that would make them and the Chiefs the 2 teams. And the Bills would still be up there for sure. That would be the top 3 teams in the NFL for the next so many years, because they would all have good quarterbacks for a while. Then we've got who else? We'll talk real quick about the other teams left. Oh yeah, and the Panthers. The Panthers would be a good team for Watson, because they're another team who have a really good young defense. Well, at least if everybody develops good. And then I've got a really underrated wide receiver core. The Eagles, nobody knows about that Eagles QB situation. I like Hurts, but they're trying to do something with Wentz. So hopefully Denver might try to trade for Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts would be awesome. If I'm the Jaguars, the only way I'm trading this number one overall pick is straight up for Deshaun Watson. I'm not throwing anything else in because Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be the guy. The only reason you would trade this pick is if you think he's not. And so far, we've had no clear reason that he's not. So I would not be willing to throw in like any young player plus the pick or any other picks unless it's like anything other than another first. The most I would be willing to give up from the Jaguars would be the number one overall pick and a second. And that's like the most. No other number ones because you've got the guy who's supposed to be the next John Elway, Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck. That Colts team was never good. Right now, if Luck was on that Colts team, that team would have been crazy. But I mean, he got injured just about every game, so I don't blame him for retiring. Steelers, nah. I feel like they just wouldn't work. I mean, it would work on the field, but just financially, I don't know. Colts, I don't see a chance. This is another thing I should have said about the Jaguars. I don't see them trading him in division, so that takes out the Colts, Jaguars, and Titans. I don't think the Titans would want to trade for him anyways, but you don't trade a superstar quarterback. Well, you shouldn't trade him at all, but if you have to, definitely not in division. Unless they're willing to give you like their first round pick for the next 10 years, then you might be willing to make an exception. I feel like the Falcons are going to give Matt Ryan another year. The Lions, I feel like until we see something about Stafford, they've got no reason to trade for him. Raiders, I just don't see it happening. I feel like they're going to stick out with Derek Carr. The Rams, they're already in salary cap issues as it is. The Saints, I understand why you would want to get Watson. It makes a lot of sense. But you're already, unless you cut or trade a ton of big contracts, you just can't do it. The Cowboys, I'd just stick with Dak. Unless, I'd just stick with Dak. No reason to do that. The Giants, I feel like are going to give Danny Dimes another year. Vikings, they're going to stick it out with Kirk Cousins. Titans, I already said they want to trade for him. Buccaneers, they're going to give Brady until he retires. Cleveland, they like what they got in Baker. And he led them to beat the Steelers in the playoffs. So, you've at least got to give Baker another year or two. And especially, you got to keep Baker now. Chargers, Justin Herbert is a superstar in the making. As much as I hate to say it, my AFC West is going to be a tough division. We've got Mahomes and Justin Herbert. And if the Raiders get a quarterback Derek Carr was like a top 10 quarterback this year. The AFC West is going to be a tough division. Cardinals have Kyler Murray. Bengals have Joe Burrow. Ravens got Lamar. Bills, we know he's not going to the Bills. They're not going to get... Seattle's sticking with Wilson. Green Bay, they've got a perfect situation in Green Bay. You got Rodgers, and then when Rodgers leaves or retires, you got Jordan Love. Works out perfect. And the Chiefs have the best young quarterback in the league. No reason at all, unless Mahomes had some freak injury and he was done for his career. So I think that wraps up every team. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.